If you want to hook up, swipe right. Just kidding. This is not a dating app. Hey guys, it's Katie, your host of Faith at Work, and today we're going to be talking about hooking up. I am personally not from like the super hookup culture, but I still know exactly what's going on from just spending a little bit of time in downtown Chicago during the crazy like launch of Tinder. Tinder? Is it Tinder? Yeah, okay. I have never downloaded Tinder, thank God. I was already in a relationship. I'm kind of one of those serial monogamists where I was with someone for like 5 years. Then I was with someone for like 5 years. And then I was with someone for 5 years. And now, thank you, Lord, I have found my amazing partner. So I'm coming from it from a different angle. But we want to talk about the hookup culture because it has gotten so crazy out there. It's almost abnormal to want to find your actual partner and not have 100 sexual partners. I think the count, the body count that they call it, is getting a little crazy. You might want to comment. Don't comment your body count. We don't want to know. But we want to know what you think about what is going on in society right now. So we're going to focus on the Bible. First, we're going to talk about the difference of what's happening with men and women from now to back in the day, right? Back in the day, they did studies where people would hook up maybe one time in a whole year or have one partner in a whole year. Now, the average that they're finding in 2020, men in college hooked up 8.1 times and women 7.9 times in the same year. So think about the amount of people that people are just rolling through. I think you guys have probably seen the documentary recently on the lady who had 100 partners in one day. Val actually watched it. She can comment more on it. I'm like, no. This chick had 100 partners in one day, and I'm like, wow, that's going to be life-changing. That is going to be something that literally transforms her life, calls her to Jesus, and just makes a huge impact. Guess what? She's going for 1,000 now. So it didn't work. Okay. So don't give her any love. Please don't go find her. The value of waiting until marriage has become almost impossible, but I'll say even for Christians. I've talked about this a couple of times. Christians have pretty much marked it off as not one of the things that they're going to follow, right? It's like the pick a like a crossword puzzle Jesus, where you're like, I'm going to do one down, but not three across. I'm going to make sure that I follow all these things because they're things that I believe are important, but the rest of it, forget it. That's kind of what's happening with sex before marriage and not having multiple partners. So let's get into it. Interesting statistic that we found. Studies have found that 35% of sexual intercourse, like on cable television, are not with established committed relationships. So if we want to really get into it, we're talking about what we're seeing as normal, right? What is the norm? The norm now is not only that you don't have a real partner that you love and cherish and that you sleep with, and that's like what God gave you as a partner. We're talking about people just having like random encounters at any time. I know that when I was in downtown Chicago, the Tinder thing became where a guy would have a different Tinder date every night of the week. They'd be talking about this, right? I owned a gym in downtown Chicago, and the guys would be talking about their Tinder dates, and like they were basically talking about how it was costing them more money than if they got hookers, right? Like they were buying dinner to get that, and then they were sleeping with the girl. So they're like, man, I wonder if I could change this to like a coffee date. Because if it could be cheaper than having a full dinner with this person and spending that much time with her, and then they were sleeping with them. I know some of you are like, yeah, that's normal. And the other people are like, is that real? That's a real thing that's happening right now. And why not? I mean, cable, the internet, movies, every single thing that we're seeing, no one's doing like a great story on, oh, wasn't that great that they met in college and neither of them had sex before marriage, and then they got together and they fell madly in love and they were all about Jesus. I mean, when are you seeing that? I know that when I've tried to watch Pure Flix, you guys know what Pure Flix are? It's like Netflix, but it's like all based on pure, amazing stories where there's no swearing, there's no crazy sexual stuff. It's like pure stuff for your eyes that you can actually watch next to your mom and not feel like, oh my gosh, has anyone been caught? Have you been caught watching a movie with your mom, your dad, or like even like, oh my gosh, my mother-in-law? We took my mother-in-law to some crazy movie. I don't even remember what it was, like Once Upon a something, like some crazy movie where there was all this random sex and drugs and killing and all this. It's like, we're getting caught watching this stuff next to people that we should literally not be watching it in general, and then watching it next to these people. It's getting a little crazy. So PureFlix is giving it an opportunity, but nobody even knows about it. Whenever I mention it, people don't even know about it. And guess what? When you log into it, it always breaks down. Me and Anthony tried to watch the same movie 5 or 6 times, and it kept breaking down or shutting off. And we're like, what is going on? That's like the devil, right? Like when technology doesn't work on something pure that you actually want to watch, but it'd be like 2 clicks away and you'd be watching some crazy, disgusting, like, I don't know if we're allowed to say corn, whatever they're calling it, corn. So normalization of sex and hooking up has gone way too far, and we want to talk about it today from my perspective, and then I'm going to pull Val in for like the Gen Z perspective, because I think it's important to get the 2 different views, because what you think about another subset of people might be completely wrong based on media and what's going on in the industry. So we're going to talk about connecting using God as your guide. So a biblical way to start connecting with people and find your actual, you don't have to call it a soulmate. I don't know if I would even call it my soulmate, but I know that God put me and Anthony together, and we didn't do it the right way, right? We're all fallen humans. We're all Christians. Christians are people who are not perfect. They're just trying to emulate God or be close to Christ. And so number 1, here's our checklist, people, for connecting in God's way to find your mate would be treat each other like gold, something sacred, not just something that you throw away. Would you throw away gold? Seriously, if someone gave you gold, would you just be like, like look at it and throw it away in the garbage? I even feel bad about throwing a penny away. You know, it costs the United States more money to make a penny than a penny. Like, we're literally paying more. Don't even get me into it. We're paying more for pennies and nickels than they actually are worth physically. We'll post that up below if you want to get into a little wild thing on that. So we're going to go to Proverbs 18:22. The man who finds a wife finds a treasure, and he receives favor from the Lord. Does that sound good or what? Like, I want to be a treasure to my husband. I want us to have favor from the Lord by connecting to each other and having this amazing relationship under God. That is something that you can actually have. I know it seems far away for a lot of people, but you can actually treat each other like treasure. You can actually complete each other, not complete each other because you're 1 and 1 and 2 is complete. It's that you become one. And you can actually have that if you follow the biblical truths that are in front of you and the promises that God has for you. Number 2, be choosy. So when you're out there looking around, we're not talking about swiping left and right based on like hair color and like athletic build, okay? We're talking about looking for the heart of somebody. Luke 6:45 says, good people bring good things out of the good stored up in their heart, and evil people bring evil things out of the evil stored up in their heart. For out of the overflow of the heart, the mouth speaks. I think that's something to really pay attention to, is what is coming out of someone's mouth. This is in relationships, not just for the one that you're going to find, but if you're hanging out in a group of people and this person is always dogging on somebody, right? They're always gossiping about somebody or talking bad about somebody. When you're not there, don't be fooled. You're the person they're talking about. And that all starts with our minds. It goes from the mind and it comes out our mouths, and our mouths are powerful. We'll probably do a whole episode on how powerful our words are. They either speak life or they speak death. Life and death. That's not just like a bumper sticker, you guys. It's literally either giving someone life to live their best life, or it's cutting them down so hard that some people actually end up taking their lives from words. I know we've seen this as a huge increase in the internet now with social media and everything. These kids are reading the words of people that they would never even know or meet, and they're taking their lives, or they're feeling like they are unworthy of living. So be careful with the things that people are saying to you or that you're saying to other people, and don't just act like it's okay. It's not just okay to throw your words around. Like, be intentional with the words that are coming out of your mouth, and your life will literally change. And the partner you find will definitely change. I can guarantee you that. And then look for a true partner. So I'm going to read Ecclesiastes 4:9-10. 2 are better than 1 because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up, but pity anyone who falls and has no one to help them up. I did not start, like I said, I was a serial monogamist. I did not start with the one. I started in seasons of relationships with people, but they're not for nothing. I know that I was in people's lives for a reason. I know that one of my long-term boyfriends, he ended up having this like life-shattering thing happen to him where his vein was cut off on his arm, and I was able to be with him in the hospital. And for months, I mean, it was literally crazy. Like, he was a healthy, amazing man, and his life was threatened. And after we broke up, I know that he came to me one day and he just said, I feel like if I didn't have you during that season, I would have been completely alone. So I know that we're in each other's lives for more reasons than just finding our one true partner. But I want you to know that after finding Anthony, I wasn't even the perfect partner. I would cut him down. He felt emasculated. I was still living in this culture, not just a hookup culture, but in the me culture. I don't need you. I'm good. That's what women are really feeling. They're feeling like, not only am I good, but it's a burden to have you. Why would I have a man when he's going to tell me what to do? He's going to leave the seat up or whatever's going to happen. Like, we get this mindset that we don't need you. We need each other. Listen to that. Two are better than one. When I became one with Anthony, when I truly submitted, that word just hits women now and they don't even know what that means. When I say I am submitting to Anthony, it's me letting him be the leader of our house under God. God is our number one. God is the head and we are parts of the body. And when you realize how amazing life can be when you have God first and then you have this partner that hand in hand, you guys are working together for the good, it is unbelievable how much God has blessed us now that we are in our proper roles where, I'm a powerful, amazing woman, but I am his helper. I am in his life to make it better, and he's in my life to make it better as well. How cool is that? I know that a lot of you are really far from that, but it is so much closer than you think, but your mind has to be set that you are looking for that and that you're open to that. So I'm going to pull Val in because Val actually has some really good information on this and statistics, and she came from something totally different. I didn't have even the internet. That's like, how old am I? Don't ask. But I didn't even really have the internet when I was in college. We had to go to the computer lab. Anybody? Did anybody have to go to the computer lab to use a computer in college? Like, that is dorky. I have like the code that I had to log into my computer has been my password for 20 years. Anyways, Val, what are you thinking about the hookup culture? Are you swiping right?
Okay, so I was going to college during this whole time. We had Tumblr, but we also had like Hinge. Tumblr. We had Tinder. Tumblr is a
Rumble.
Different app. We had Grumble. Oh my
Rumble?
God. Grindr was the gay one, and then there was also
Bumble.
Hinge and Bumble. Yes, exactly. Oh my God.
Hinge.
There's too many. Hinge was the new one. That was like the big one that everybody was on.
Hinge is
because it tried to
word.
make a bigger deal about connecting with people. It was trying to go separate. They're all dating apps. It's very difficult to find. You can find a partner, but it's very, very difficult. And that's something kind of I wanted to talk about today, how it is so, so, so hard for people my age to find a partner. And like Katie was saying, with all of these points, to look for a true partner, to be choosy, to actually be on the ball. It's hard because they feel like they have no hope for pretty much anything. So I saw this quote by this justice studies professor, Gabriel Rubin. This is an ongoing study from Montclair State University. He said, Gen Z's mental health has deteriorated due to a worldview that the society and the environments around them are crumbling. Rights are being taken away. The earth is burning. Maniacs could kill you with a gun. Viruses could shut down society again. And that is how so many people in my age range, beyond, under, so many people I know are feeling. And that's why it's so sad. It's impossible to be on your own, and it's even harder to find somebody to live your life with.
That's so crazy that it's like that very emotional. That just made me think of like during the election when they'd go to colleges and they start talking to people and they just start going crazy, like so emotional, like the world is ending and we are awful and America is terrible and all this stuff. It's like, okay, so let's put this into perspective. If that's how bad the world is, do you want a partner with you or do you want to be alone? Yeah. Do you want to find the one person that you could actually count on? I know Anthony looks at me 10 times a week, not kidding. And he goes, let's just sell everything and move to like the middle of nowhere and like live off the land. And I'm like, first of all, no, that is definitely not what's happening. But the fact that he has that in his head, I can't imagine why are they so scared?
It's because of, I think, in part, and it's funny, I don't know if you guys have seen Anchorman, but I actually think that movie was a little bit on the nose in terms of the 24-hour news cycle. And now we have more than the 24-hour news cycle. It's not just the news, it's everywhere. It's on our phones. I'm getting pop-up alerts about people that have died in other countries. The amount of information we are getting and the amount of negative information we are getting and the story that's being told. We actually just had a video recently come out about fear, and that so many of these stories we tell ourselves are that we should be afraid, and that it's almost more reasonable or rational to be afraid, and it's absolutely not. And everyone is so terrified. The amount of people I know who say they don't want to have kids because they don't want to bring people into this world, it's heartbreaking, because how are we going to make the world better if we don't believe that it's worth saving?
Sounds like the perfect plan of the devil. Have you guys seen that where the guy says, if I was the devil? Like, have you seen that rant where, oh my gosh, you guys, we're going to post it. It's where it says, if I was the devil, I would do this, 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 this. If I was the devil, I would do, and it's everything that's happening. I would take God out of schools. I would take the Bible out of the world. I would tell women that they were men and men that they were women. I would confuse what was good and what was evil. It's literally what's happening. We're thinking that good things that are amazing for you are bad and that bad things are good, right? We're making the victim the person that we support, the victim is the person that we're mad at, and the person who caused a crime or killed somebody, we're worried about their mental health. I mean, it's literally gone totally bananas.
It has. And the funny thing is, most people don't actually feel this way in their hearts. We were looking it up. Only 15% of people under 40 are looking for casual relationships, and only 8% of Gen Z think that marriage is outdated. So the vast majority of people still think that you should get married, you should find your partner, and that casual sex is probably going to make you feel pretty crappy.
Oh, and it will, and it does, right? I mean, I'm not going to talk about how many people I've been with, but it's not what I would have wanted if I was actually a true Christian, probably from high school. Gosh, that was so hard. I mean, we did a couple episodes on this and people were really like, you should be promoting this. And I'm like, I do. I mean, it would be great. It would have been great. I can't personally speak on something that I didn't commit to, right? So I'm not going to be up here and be like, you shouldn't do this or you shouldn't do that. I'm not here to judge. I'm here to inspire and also give information. I love that quote, and I love you seeing that 15% of people under 40, that's like nothing, right? Like, if you're not looking for something casual, stop looking for something casual to fit in. It's crazy. Val, you were telling me, it's like she almost felt like it was weird that she didn't want to have. I mean, think about college right now. How cool is it when two girls are making out? The fact that on TV, right, we see all these movies and it's like, oh, it's so cool. Like, this girl's with that girl and that girl's with that girl and that guy's with that guy. It's like, if that's all you're seeing, then you think that that's normal. And when you don't have those desires, you're like, what am I like a prude? You're a prude because you don't want to not only just hook up with 100 people, but you don't want to be with the same sex person. It's not that you're prude. It's that you actually might be on the right track.
And so many people feel that in their hearts and can tell that something's wrong, and they don't know what that is. And I also think this ties back into the larger problem of, like you were saying, God is not a part of anything. So something I really noticed in this, and I was reading a longer article that we'll post down below so you guys can see some of this data too, but that people really feel like there's no reason to submit to anything, that we need to be as individualistic as possible. We need to support ourselves. We need strength for ourselves. And in doing that, we don't really care if we have a good partner. We don't care at all. And I think a huge part of that is that so many people in my age range and really in the world, when you don't connect with God, you never learn how to submit to anything bigger than yourself. And if you cannot submit to anything bigger than yourself, how are you going to find a relationship? How are you going to finish your goals? How are you going to hit the next phase in your life? You're not, because you feel like you are the end all be all of everything.
Oh yeah, it's exactly that, right? It's where it's this me culture where it's all about me and it puts you in isolation. Think about how isolating that is to actually believe in God. Oh, the devil came at me like crazy and God saved me from this. God saved me from those feelings of, I am better off on my own. It is 100% a lie from the pit of hell that you are better alone. I was actually reading, my mom brought her journal out from when she was going through a divorce with my dad in the late 90s. And she was reading it out loud and I was almost in tears too, because she was putting about how she didn't want to be alone. So back then it was all about if you were alone, it was crazy. I mean, so we totally, what did we do as society? We took something that was like bad and we flipped it 100,000% on the other side, and now it's still bad, right? No one should have to live their life alone. And when I was reading her words, I mean, it was like heartbreaking that she was just picturing like this life. She's like, I can do it, Lord. Like I'll do it by myself if I have to. And God was like, you don't have to do it by yourself. Not only do you have me, but I made the perfect person for you. And that's what he did for you. So Val's actually married, and she's going to be throwing like the big marriage party because she kind of did it sideways or backwards or maybe the right way. Who knows? Like these days, who cares, right? But what is like one thing that you're going into that, like knowing that you're through the hookup culture, obviously, thank God. Like Anthony watches stuff with me now and he's like, I'm so glad I'm not back in that phase, right? So you're through that, but what are you really kind of looking forward to with like really submitting and learning your role as a wife?
I think my main thing is really supporting my husband, giving him the space to be a leader. I have a really hard time with that. We have a whole episode on how hard of a time I have with the word submission. So I get it. It's not just you guys, it's all of us. But the biggest thing is letting him be the leader, listening to him when he has something and not tearing him down. That's my big thing too. I tear people down on accident. I really don't mean to, but I just pick at things because I want to make them the best they can be. And in doing so, I'm completely missing all of the beautiful things that God is putting in our lives. And so the more I can focus on that and encouraging him and helping him be the best person he can be, the better off we'll both be.
I love that. And that's what it's all about. When it says little helper, literally in Genesis, what it's saying is you were made to actually make each other the best that you can possibly be. You're not a inferior being to your husband, or men. You're not a superior to your wife. You guys are one flesh. And if you really focus on that, your life will be so amazing. I can promise you that once you find your partner, you'll know what we're talking about. And if you want to comment on what you've been through or what you're excited about or what you're afraid of, we'd love to connect with you. So comment below. We can't wait to see you there. And until then, stay elevated.